The Truman Doctrine was an American foreign policy that pledged U.S. support for democracies against authoritarian states. More generally, however, the Truman Doctrine implied American support for other nations that were threatened by Moscow. The doctrine had originated with the primary goal of countering the growth of the Soviet bloc during the Cold War and led to the formation of NATO in 1949. During the Turkish Strait crisis, Turkey was pressured by the Soviet government after World War II to institute joint military control of passage through the Turkish Straits, which connected the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. When the Turkish government refused, tensions in the region arose, leading to a Soviet show of force and demands for territorial concessions along the Georgia-Turkey border. This intimidation campaign was intended to prevent American influence or naval presence in the Black Sea, as well as to weaken Turkey's government and pull it into the Soviet sphere of influence. The Straits crisis was a catalyst, along with the Greek Civil War, for the creation of the Truman Doctrine, following the dispatch of a U.S. carrier combined with $100 million in aid from America to Turkey. At its climax from 1946 to 53, the dispute would motivate Turkey to turn to the United States for protection through NATO membership. Additionally, Greece faced a civil war after World War II between communists and monarchists. In line with the Churchill-Stalin percentages agreements, the Greek communists received no help from the Soviet Union, and Yugoslavia provided them with support and sanctuary against Stalin's wishes. By late 1946, Britain informed the United States that due to its own weakening economy, it could no longer continue to provide military and economic support to royalist Greece, and that America would have to step in with the Truman Doctrine. Containment was a geopolitical strategic foreign policy pursued by the United States during the Cold War to prevent the spread of communism after the end of World War II and contain it to where it was already at. A notable example is where the U.S. followed through with containment when it first entered the Korean War to defend South Korea from communist invasion by the North Koreans. Initially, the direct action of the U.S. and UN was only to push North Korea across the 38th parallel and restore Korea's sovereignty. The Marshall Plan was America's most successful soft power containment measure, where the U.S. rebuilt Western Europe after World War II. The U.S. also offered to rebuild Eastern Europe, but Stalin refused, and, the Eastern Bloc remained an impoverished region of rebellions and revolts against the Soviet-controlled satellite states, which were violently put down throughout the Cold War. The success of the Marshall Plan, contrasted with the poor state of the Soviet satellite states in the East, made containment a bipartisan policy within the United States. The Marshall Plan also was an attempt to contain communism and to stop the spread of communism throughout Greece and Turkey, so they did not fall in the domino effect. However, Soviet foreign policy of exporting communism and defying containment led to American policymakers adopting the domino theory, which states if one country in a region falls to communism, then the others around that state will fall like dominoes in the domino effect. The domino theory remained prevalent in U.S. foreign policy from the 1950s through the 1980s. Some of the most noteworthy early applications of the domino theory were the Korean War and the first Taiwan Strait crisis after the Chinese Civil War. However, the domino theory would come to prevalence during the First Indochina War, where after France lost the war and Vietnam was divided between the Communist North and Capitalist South. Wonder where I've seen that before. The Viet Cong in the South began an insurgency to spread communism in the region. The U.S. and SEATO responded by sending forces into Vietnam during the Vietnam War to prevent South Vietnam and Southeast Asia from becoming communist. In the 1960s and early 1970s, civil wars were fought in Laos, Cambodia, and Nam between Soviet and Chinese-backed communist forces and U.S. and SEATO-backed capitalist forces in proxy wars. The primary evidence for the domino theory is the spread of communist rule in 3 Southeast Asian countries in 1975 following the communist takeover of Vietnam: South Vietnam by the Viet Cong, Laos by the Pathet Lao, and Cambodia by the Khmer Rouge and that whack job Pol Pot. However, U.S.-supported Thai government was able to suppress an insurgency by 1983. The domino theory saw further applications outside of Southeast Asia, but this video is predominantly on the early Cold War U.S. foreign policy. Would you like me to cover more foreign policy topics and strategies, not just exclusively for the United States? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.